What if happiness isn't the goal but the side effect of something deeper? Welcome to Life Lessons, where we don't preach, we reflect. If you've ever felt like happiness slips through your fingers, no matter how hard you chase it, you're not alone. Today, we're exploring a quiet truth from Buddhist philosophy. Peace comes first, not as a luxury, not as a reward, but as the soil where happiness grows. This isn't about sitting cross-legged on a mountain or escaping the world. It's about finding stillness in the middle of your everyday chaos. Because when your mind stops fighting, happiness doesn't need to be hunted, it finds you. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to share what we've learned, what's helped, and what might just shift something inside you. If this resonates, give us a like. Maybe a share. It helps more than you know. Let's dive in, not to chase happiness, but to understand why peace might be the thing we've been missing all along. Part 1. Peace is the foundation there. A quiet ache. Many of us carry one we rarely speak of. It's not the stress of bills or the weight of responsibilities. It's deeper. It's the feeling that even when everything seems fine, something inside still feels unsettled. We get the promotion, the house, the vacation, but the mind keeps racing, the heart keeps searching, and the peace we thought would come doesn't. In Buddhist philosophy, this isn't a mystery, it's a truth. Peace isn't a result of having what we want. It's the foundation we must build before anything else can truly matter. The Buddha taught, when the mind is at peace, the world is at peace. That's not just poetic, it's practical. Because without inner peace, even joy becomes fragile. Even love feels conditional. Even success tastes hollow. Let's pause here, not to judge ourselves, but to reflect. How often do we chase happiness like it's a prize at the end of a race? We run faster, work harder, achieve more, hoping that one day we'll finally feel okay. But Buddhist wisdom invites us to flip that script. What if peace isn't the finish line, but the starting point? Imagine a tree. Its fruit is sweet, but only because its roots are deep. Peace is that root. Without it, happiness is like fruit on a branch that's barely holding on. It may look good for a while, but it won't last. And we know this, not just intellectually, but emotionally. We've felt it in the quiet moments, when the noise fades and we're left with ourselves. So how do we begin to cultivate peace? Not by escaping life, but by meeting it differently. In Buddhism, peace isn't passive, it's active. It's the result of awareness, of choosing to be present, of letting go of the stories that keep us trapped. It's not about suppressing emotion, but understanding it. Not about avoiding pain, but transforming it. We've all had moments, however brief, when we felt truly at peace. Maybe it was watching the sunrise, sitting beside someone we love, breathing deeply after a long cry. In those moments, we weren't chasing anything, we were simply being. And that's the essence of Buddhist peace. A return to being, not doing. This doesn't mean we stop striving. It means we strive from a place of clarity, not chaos. When our mind is calm, we make better decisions. We speak more kindly. We listen more deeply. We live more fully. Peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of understanding. And here's the truth many of us need to hear. We don't have to earn peace. We don't have to wait until life is perfect. Peace is available now, in this breath, in this moment. It begins when we stop resisting what is, and start embracing what's real. For those of us who've spent years searching, this can feel like a revelation, or maybe a relief, because it means we're not broken. We're just tired, and peace is the rest our soul has been longing for. So let's walk this path together, not toward some distant happiness, but toward the stillness that makes happiness possible. Let's honor the wisdom of the Buddha, not as dogma, but as a mirror, one that reflects what we've always known deep down. That peace isn't something we find, it's something we remember, and in remembering, we begin to heal. Let this be our first step. Part 2. Happiness is the result, not the goal. There's a quiet kind of exhaustion that many people carry, not from physical labor, not from age, but from the constant pressure to feel happy. We scroll through social media and see curated smiles, perfect vacations, and motivational quotes telling us to choose joy. We try, we really do, but sometimes, despite our best efforts, happiness feels like a distant shore we can't quite reach. Buddhist philosophy doesn't dismiss this struggle, it embraces it. It doesn't tell us to fake a smile or force gratitude. Instead, it offers a radical shift in perspective. Happiness is not the goal, it's the result. It's what arises naturally when the mind is clear, the heart is open, and we stop grasping for something outside ourselves. The Buddha didn't teach people to chase happiness. He taught them to understand suffering, to see it clearly, to sit with it, and through that understanding, to find peace, not by escaping pain, but by transforming our relationship with it. When we stop chasing happiness, we begin to notice the subtle ways we've been running from discomfort, from boredom, from uncertainty. We fill our days with distractions, hoping that anything will spark joy. But joy doesn't come from distraction. It comes from presence. Think about the moments in life when you felt truly joyful. Not the fleeting thrill of buying something new or hearing praise, but the deep, quiet joy of being with someone you love. The peace of watching the sunrise. The stillness of sitting alone, feeling whole. Those moments weren't about achievement. They were about being. Buddhism teaches that happiness is a byproduct of clarity. When we let go of greed, anger, and delusion, the three poisons that cloud the mind, we create space for joy to enter. Not because we forced it, but because we removed the barriers that kept it out. This is why meditation is so central in Buddhist practice. It's not about escaping the world. It's about seeing it clearly. It's about sitting with our thoughts, our fears, our longings, and learning not to be ruled by them. In that stillness, something shifts. The mind softens. The heart opens, and happiness, quietly, begins to bloom. But this kind of happiness is different from what we're used to. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it doesn't depend on circumstances. It's steady, it's rooted. It's the kind of joy that remains even when life is hard, because it's not based on what's happening outside, but on how we relate to it inside. This doesn't mean we stop wanting things. It means we stop believing that getting what we want is the key to happiness. We can still pursue goals, build relationships, and enjoy life, but we do so with a different mindset. We understand that happiness isn't found in the next promotion, the next vacation, or the next compliment. It's found in how we meet each moment, how we breathe through discomfort, how we respond with compassion instead of judgment. And that's where the real transformation begins. When we stop chasing happiness, we begin to live. We begin to notice the beauty in ordinary things. We begin to feel more deeply not just joy, but sorrow, tenderness, awe. We become more present, more connected, more alive. In this way, happiness becomes less of a destination and more of a companion. It walks beside us not because we demanded it, but because we invited it through peace, awareness, and acceptance. So let's walk this path together. Let's stop asking, how do I become happy? And start asking, how do I become still? Because in that stillness, happiness is already waiting, not because we earned it, not because we deserve it, but because it's our nature once we clear the noise. Part 3. Peace of mind transforms suffering-related keywords: inner peace, mindfulness, compassion, meditation. Buddhist wisdom: there's a kind of suffering that doesn't scream. It doesn't show up in hospital charts or therapy sessions. It lives quietly in the chest, in the sighs we don't explain, the tears we blink away when no one's watching. It's the ache of disappointment, the grief of things unsaid, the loneliness that lingers even in a crowded room. We carry it, we hide it, we tell ourselves to be strong. But Buddhist wisdom doesn't ask us to be strong in the way the world defines. It invites us to be soft, to be still, to be present with our pain, not to fix it, not to flee from it, but to understand it. Because peace of mind isn't the absence of suffering. It's the ability to sit with it, breathe through it, and slowly, gently, transform it. This is the heart of Buddhist teaching. Suffering is not a punishment, it's a teacher. The Buddha never promised a life without hardship. What he offered was a pathway to meet suffering with clarity, with mindfulness, and with compassion. Through meditation, we learn to observe our pain without judgment. Through mindfulness, we learn to stay with it, moment by moment. And through compassion, we learn to hold it tenderly, as we would a wounded child. Let's imagine a moment from daily life. A quiet evening. The dishes are done. The house is still. And suddenly, a wave of sadness rises, maybe from a memory, maybe from nowhere. In the past, we might have reached for distraction, a drink, a screen, a task. But what if, instead, we paused? What if we sat with that sadness, breathed into it, and asked, "What are you trying to show me?" This is not weakness, this is courage, because when we stop running from our suffering, we begin to understand it. We begin to see the stories we've been telling ourselves, the ones that say we're not enough, not lovable, not whole. And in that seeing, something shifts. The suffering doesn't vanish, but it softens. It becomes less of a threat, more of a companion, a part of our journey, not the enemy of it. Peace of mind is not passive, it's active. It's the daily practice of choosing presence over avoidance, compassion over criticism, stillness over reaction. It's the quiet strength of someone who has faced their pain and come through not untouched, but transformed. And this transformation isn't dramatic, it's subtle. It's in the way we speak to ourselves, the way we listen to others, the way we forgive, not because we forget, but because we no longer want to carry the weight. In Buddhism, this process is called Chayan Hoa Kachia Kao, transforming suffering. It's not about erasing the past, it's about changing our relationship to it. Through meditation, we create space in the mind. Through mindfulness, we bring light to the dark corners. Through compassion, we offer healing not just to others, but to ourselves. We begin to see that suffering is not a flaw in the system, it's part of being human. And when we stop resisting it, we begin to grow. We become more tender, more wise, more alive. This is the gift of Buddhist practice. It doesn't promise perfection, it promises presence. It doesn't offer escape, it offers understanding. And in that understanding, we find peace, not because life is easy, but because we are no longer afraid to face it. So let us walk this path together. Let us sit with our sorrow, not as victims, but as students. Let us breathe through the pain, not to silence it, but to hear what it has to say. And let us trust that within every wound, there is a seed of awakening. Peace of mind is not the end of suffering, it's the beginning of transformation. And in that transformation, we find something deeper than happiness. We find freedom. Part 4. True happiness comes from within. There's a moment in life of fun quiet, often unexpected, when we realize that everything we've been chasing hasn't brought us the peace we hoped for. The job title, the house, the relationship, the praise. They may have brought moments of joy, yes, but lasting happiness, that deep, steady kind, it still feels just out of reach. We look around and wonder, why, after all this, do I still feel empty? Buddhism doesn't offer a quick fix. It doesn't promise that if we meditate enough or chant enough, we'll suddenly feel whole. What it offers is something more honest, more enduring. The truth that happiness does not come from outside. It arises from within. The Buddha said, "No one can bring you peace but yourself." Not because others don't love us, not because the world is cruel, but because the kind of peace we long for, the kind that holds steady through loss, through change, through aging, can only be found in the quiet space of self-understanding. We live in a culture that teaches us to seek happiness through accumulation, more money, more success, more admiration. But Buddhist wisdom gently asks, what if happiness isn't something we earn, but something we uncover? Underneath the layers of striving, beneath the masks we wear, there is a part of us that is already whole, already enough, already at peace. But we've forgotten how to listen to it. Let's imagine a story. A woman in her 50s sits alone in her living room. The kids are grown. The career has plateaued. The house is quiet. She looks around and feels a strange ache, not sadness, exactly, but a sense that something is missing. She's done everything right. She's followed the rules. But the happiness she was promised never fully arrived. And then, one evening, she picks up a book on Buddhist teachings. She reads about mindfulness, about letting go, about self-acceptance, and something inside her stirs, not loudly, but gently. A whisper, maybe I don't need to be more, maybe I just need to be. This is the turning point, because when we stop looking outward for validation, we begin to turn inward for truth. We begin to ask, who am I beneath the roles I play? What do I feel when I stop trying to impress? Can I sit with myself, not to fix, but to understand? Inner happiness is not flashy. It doesn't announce itself. It grows slowly, like a tree rooted in still soil. It comes from knowing ourselves, not the polished version, but the real one. The one that's made mistakes. The one that's been hurt. The one that's still learning. Through meditation, we learn to sit with our thoughts, not to judge them, but to observe. Through mindfulness, we learn to be present, not just in joy, but in discomfort. Through compassion, we learn to accept ourselves not as perfect, but as worthy. And in that acceptance, something shifts. We stop needing others to complete us. We stop measuring our worth by external success. We begin to feel a quiet joy, not because life is perfect, but because we are no longer at war with ourselves. This is the essence of inner peace. It's not about escaping the world. It's about meeting it with a steady heart. It's about walking through life with open eyes, open hands, and an open soul. It's about knowing that happiness is not something we chase. It's something we allow. We allow it by letting go of comparison, by releasing the need to be someone else, by embracing the truth that we are enough, not someday, not after we've achieved more, but now. And yes, this path takes courage. It takes courage to stop running, to stop pretending, to sit in silence and ask, what do I truly need? But in that silence, we find something precious. We find ourselves. So let us walk this path together. Let us turn inward, not to escape, but to return. Let us listen not to the noise of the world, but to the wisdom within. And let us trust that happiness, real happiness, is not out there waiting to be found. It's already here, quietly waiting to be remembered. Not because we earned it, not because we deserve it, but because it is our nature. So let's walk this path together. Let's stop asking, how do I become happy? And start asking, how do I become still? Because in that stillness, happiness is already waiting. Not because we earned it, not because we deserve it, but because it's our nature once we clear the noise. Part 5. Practicing for peace. There's a truth we often overlook. Peace doesn't arrive by accident. It's not something we stumble into on a quiet Sunday or find tucked inside a self-help book. It's something we cultivate slowly, gently, with intention. And yet, many of us wait. We wait for life to calm down, for the stress to pass, for the perfect moment to begin. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us, the perfect moment is now. Peace isn't something we prepare for, it's something we practice. We live in a world that moves fast, deadlines, notifications, expectations. It's easy to get swept up, to lose ourselves in the rush, but beneath the noise, there's a quiet invitation to return, to breathe, to be. The Buddha taught that peace is not found in the future, it's found in presence. And the way we enter that presence is through practice, through meditation, through mindfulness, through gratitude. Let's imagine a story. A man in his 60s wakes each morning with a heaviness in his chest. Not pain exactly, but a kind of weariness. The years have brought success, yes, but also loss, regret, a sense that something essential has been forgotten. One morning, instead of reaching for his phone, he sits, just sits, eyes closed, breath steady. He doesn't try to empty his mind. He simply watches. The thoughts come, memories, worries, plans, and he lets them pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. 5 minutes, 10, then 20, and something shifts. Not dramatically, not loudly, but gently. A softening. A space opens inside him, a space untouched by regret, untouched by striving. A space of peace. This is the power of meditation. It's not about escaping life. It's about meeting it with clarity. It's about creating a quiet refuge within ourselves, a place we can return to again and again, no matter what the world brings. Mindfulness deepens this practice. It's not reserved for the cushion. It's in the way we wash the dishes, the way we walk, the way we speak. When we bring awareness to each action, we begin to live differently. We begin to notice the warmth of water, the sound of birds, the texture of breath. Life becomes less of a blur, more of a blessing. And then there's gratitude. Not the forced kind, not the kind we write in journals because we're supposed to, but the kind that arises naturally when we slow down, when we see clearly, when we realize that even in pain, there is beauty, even in loss, there is love. Gratitude is not a denial of suffering, it's a recognition of wholeness. It's the quiet joy of knowing that this moment, this breath is enough. Through daily practice, we begin to change, not because we become perfect, but because we become present. We stop reacting, we start responding, we stop grasping, we start letting go. And in that letting go, peace begins to bloom, not as a reward, but as a natural result. This is the heart of Buddhist teaching. Peace is not given, it is grown, and we grow it through practice, through showing up each day not with pressure, but with patience, not with judgment, but with gentleness. We sit, we breathe, we walk, we notice, and slowly the mind settles, the heart opens, the soul remembers. We begin to live, not from fear, but from love, not from scarcity, but from abundance, not from noise, but from stillness. So let us walk this path together. Let us commit not to perfection, but to presence. Let us practice not to escape, but to return. Let us trust not in outcomes, but in the process, because peace is not far away. It's here, in this breath, in this step, in this moment. And when we practice, happiness doesn't need to be chased. It blossoms quietly, naturally, from the soil of peace. Conclusion: peace first. Happiness follows happiness isn't a destination we arrive at. It's the quiet bloom of a peaceful heart. That's the message woven through every part of this journey. We've explored how suffering can be transformed, how happiness arises from within, and how daily practices like meditation, mindfulness, and gratitude nourish our inner peace. These aren't abstract ideas, they're tools, they're invitations, they're ways of living that can soften the edges of our pain and open us to a deeper kind of joy. The Buddha didn't offer shortcuts, he offered clarity. And that clarity begins when we stop chasing and start listening. When we turn inward, we begin to see that the world outside reflects the peace we cultivate inside. So let's not just understand his teachings, let's live them. Let's sit in stillness, let's walk with awareness, let's speak with compassion, because every small act of presence is a seed, and from those seeds, happiness grows. If this message touched something in you, if it reminded you of what truly matters, let it be the beginning, not the end. Like this video, leave a comment with your reflections, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to Life Lessons to keep walking this path together. Peace is possible, and it begins with us.